freezing rain mixed with ice pellets.
Okay, we're live. Get myself set up here.
You're not in the frame.
What? I'm not in?
Because you moved it over too far.
Oh, well.
Okay, that's better.
Why, now you're all in the frame. That's
Yeah,
why it's
well,
better.
No, I was in the frame before.
Oh.
You were.
Oh, okay, well, I'm in now. All right. There it is.
All right. There it is.
I had to
Yeah, it is.
I had that
The
turned
echo.
down. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you had it turned down, and then last night when you were looking up something.
No, I just did it here a few minutes ago,
Oh,
I thought.
okay.
Well, whatever. Okay.
You said, why is my sound not on?
I don't know. So we've got 3 people, but I don't know who you people are yet. So, hello, welcome. Identify yourself, please. And, oh, here we go. Glenn is here. Good afternoon, all. Glenn, this is going to seem like a stupid question. You are male, are you not? I mean, the only reason I ask that is because you could be Glennis or Glenda, good witch from the north, or whatever. So, you know, sometimes like Samantha goes by Sam. So just checking. It's nice to have another guy on here, I can tell you that. And yes, he says he is. There is no stupid questions except the unasked. Yeah, I used to tell the kids that when I was a teacher too. So nice to have another guy on here. There's Chuck, but Chuck doesn't come on all the time. But anyway, so who else do we have here? We're up to what, 6 people at the moment. We are indoors all weekend because we're having an ice storm for the yesterday and today. And
Yeah, normally we don't get snow in April, maybe a little bit in the beginning. But
hi, Catherine.
But this weekend it's not snow, it's ice.
It's ice. Ice pellets. Outside.
A lot of ice pellets to the point where they keep building up against the front door, and I keep having to go out and shovel it. So, and it's really weird. It's like it's really granular. It's like coarse salt is the best I can describe it. It's all ice pellets.
Hi, Sudi Q. Who else is here? Yeah, the ice pellets are really weird. Actually, tomorrow on my vlog, I took some video of what it was like yesterday, and I'm going to put that up on my vlog tomorrow. It's right now. In order for me to show you what's going on, I have to turn everything around, and I'll never get it back together again. So sorry about that, but it gives you something to look forward to on my vlog. Glenn says that is why I moved to Arizona, to get away from cold and ice. And Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. Hello. We are having the same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're in the Florida of Canada right now. So.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. Will spring ever come?
This is the only kind of weather I don't like to drive in, because it's if it's snow, it's not so bad. But we've had over a month of no snow. And so then the roads normally in the wintertime have salt on them and stuff, so that it's not so bad. But now the roads were clear, and then we got a dump of freezing rain and ice pellets. And who knows what the roads will be like. If there's freezing rain on roads, it's like a skating rink. So.
Well, Kathy says, I'm not getting anything yet. Now, Kathy, do you mean you're not getting any of this bad weather, or you can't see us? I'm not sure what you mean. And Glenn says it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit here right now. Yes.
We're at -2 Celsius, which is a little bit below freezing. So it's.
And according to Adele on Inky Quill yesterday, and if you don't know Inky Quill, she's out of Australia, Sydney area. And she said, like, they're in their fall right now, and she said they had 35 degrees Celsius weather yesterday, so they're getting the exact opposite to us. And she says I take it 35 degrees Celsius in Australian fall is somewhat rare. That's a little high.
And to make things worse, it's supposed to warm up to above freezing tonight, and we're supposed to get all this rain on top of that. So we've got a whole pile of these ice pellets all over the place.
Yeah.
And then it's going to rain on top of that, so that'll be nice.
Well, Good thing we're on a higher elevation.
Because then you get flooding and
Yeah.
all kinds of other stuff. So
Sudiku says we're getting a light snow outside of Chicago. And Cindy says where she is, it's 36 degrees Fahrenheit there. So just above freezing. A little bit, 4 degrees above freezing, right?
yeah,
It's been so long in Fahrenheit.
32
is
is
freezing. But
so we're -2, so -2 Celsius. So that's actually just slightly below freezing in the Fahrenheit scale.
Yeah.
That's probably about 30 or 28 or something.
well, that's usually when you get freezing rain. It's when you're just below zero. So it's not really cold enough to snow, or it's not, and then you get this stuff, and it's chipping it out. We couldn't get
Yeah.
out of our front door.
Yeah.
It piled up and froze the door, so Walter had to go out through the garage to chip away the stuff so we could open the front door.
Yeah, and the ice pellets when they hit, I guess they're a little moist, and they all freeze together into a clump. So it's like hard ice to try and. I couldn't get all the pellets off the front step. We still have a layer there.
Cindy says my husband is 60 years old today. Oh, welcome to the 60
Welcome
Club.
to the club.
Yeah, 60. I said to Walter last night, I didn't have any problem turning 60. I'm having a bit of a problem turning 61. But I had the same problem when I hit the 1 at 41 and 51. I don't know. The even number, the 0, it's a milestone. But then you realize when you hit the 1 that you're just progressively getting older. You can't go backwards in time. So, 60, yay! 61, boo. But, oh well, can't do anything about it. Laura's here. Hi, Laura. And Catherine said yesterday Allentown, Pennsylvania was 87 and today it's 56. So you're having weird changes. So is this global warming or what? If it's global warming, why are we getting ice pellets?
I think it's a shift in the way. Actually, I kind of always, last few years, but it's been weird to hear, in that our winters seem to start later and they keep going for longer than they used to. Because it used to be like, we had a saying here when I grew up in
You're
Canada,
welcome, Mike.
It's April showers bring me flowers. Well, this is not a shower.
This would just nip your tulips in the bud.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't doubt that there are some tulips coming up right now. And
Well, the squirrels are going nuts.
I know the squirrels and the birds were freaking out.
Yeah, they're looking at
yesterday.
going, hello? This is not what we signed up for. Of course, Walter's afraid the squirrels will try to nest in our
Under our deck.
under our deck in our hot tub area. The little suckers have done that before.
Yeah, and they make a mess.
Yeah, but anyways, Sudiku says I'll be 65 next month. As my mom used to say, getting old is not for the faint of heart. Oh, please. My mother says this all the time, to the point where I do want to kill her. She says, well, it's like your grandmother, her mother, used to say, Lorna, that's my mother's name, Lorna, don't get old. And I always say to my mother, and think about the alternative, mother. What is it? My grandmother Barnum, mother, lived to be 93. And in fact, she probably would have lived a little longer, except she'd had it with life and she refused to eat. She just shut down her system and said, okay, that's it, I'm going bye-bye. And my mother's grandparents lived to be almost, on both sides of the family, almost 100 years old. Mind you, they were insane. But that's the old days of nursing homes, too. In fact, I remember my mother talking about going in to see her grandparents in the nursing home in the little town that she grew up in. And in those days, I'm talking back in probably in the 60s, at the point when they were in there, they had my great-grandmother, they had her restrained in a chair. They had her because she would wander and stuff like that. And my great-grandfather, he was there with her. He was in a little better condition, I guess, mentally, but he kept trying to undo her restraints because he couldn't stand it. He'd sit there, my mother said, and cry because they had restrained her. I mean, that's really sad. Thank God they don't do that anymore.
Well, they will still do it. You have to have permission from the family, but that's only in extreme cases when they think that they might do themselves some harm. So
yeah, well, speaking of nursing homes, we saw 2 more this week. And I am very much impressed by they're not your grandmother's nursing homes. They really aren't. I think I've said that before. But you know, I almost want to move in. There's only one thing stopping me. They're old. But they've got like great things to do. They look after you so well. The help in all the places we've seen really look like they care about the clientele. There's the social activities. They have lovely dining rooms. They have these, and the ones we've been going to have all been like they're rebuilt. The ones that are government controlled. The private ones, which are still government controlled but not quite the same way, are all relatively new. But they're modern, they're clean, they're organized so that they're in what they call pods, an area of about 25 people.
Yeah.
And that's their dining room and their entertainment area. But they're free to wander all around the home. Like, and I keep calling it home. They don't like the word home. Long-term care facility. Yeah, institution is probably not a good word either.
I think they call it a home, long care home. I don't think they don't care about calling it a home. They don't like calling it a nursing home.
No, but whatever. But people are free to come and go around there, except for ones that want to escape. And then they've got the lock area. But they also said that they mix people with dementia as long as they're not, runners, people trying to escape. They intermix with the regular clientele and live on the same floor as they are, not in the lockdown unit. And if they do have a tendency when they first come in to be bit wanderers, they've got a little bracelet, looks like an iFit or Fitbit, whatever they call those things. And basically they get near a door and they can't get out, and I guess it lets who's ever there know that they're, a little close, so go check on them. But they've got like a cafe in them, they've got a general seating area, they've got auditoriums, they've got televisions, everything. Well, I knew all this beforehand, but I guess this time I'm spending more time focused on them because when my father had to go in, it was very sudden. Well, sudden in the sense that he became bedridden very quickly, and we had no choice where he was going to go. And the place they put him in, I swear to God, that contributed to his early death.
Yeah, well, the ones that we've seen are nice, but
Yeah.
there are still ones around that aren't great. So,
well, she's not being put on the list for those ones for sure.
However, she might still end up in one like that.
Well,
if she falls and does something and ends up in the hospital.
And I've told her to be very careful. She got a new walker this week, and came on Monday, and they had it all set up according to what the occupational therapist said for her. But of course, she called me and, well, I don't want to use it yet until you've looked at it because I'm not sure how to put the brakes on. I said, does it have handles like your old one underneath? Yes. Did you try squeezing them down like your old one? Because they all pretty much work the same. Well, I'm just not comfortable yet. I want you. Oh, so we had to go all the way. And when I go to my mother's place, it's not just down the block. It's a 25-minute drive. I mean, that's not long, but 25 minutes to get there. It's 25 minutes to get back home. Everything else you do. So, you're talking about an hour and a half, 2 hours minimum, back and forth. For what? She's not out of it. But anyways, went over, looked at it, took the tags off, showed her how to use it, and now she loves it. She says it's great. The occupational therapist comes this Friday, coming to check it all out with her, and it's really been bugging her. There's some little thing on the back, and the guy told her what it was for, something to do with stairs. I said, Mom, you're not going upstairs with this thing. Ever. Like, no, because she can't go upstairs.
Or is it like a curb thing or something?
I think it's a stabilizer for, I don't know, if you go over a bump. But there was nothing in the manual about it. So I said, well, when Tammy comes, as the occupational therapist, we'll ask her and we'll get that all sorted out. She seems to be very, very concerned about that. I don't know why.
I don't know why they get focused on stuff like that.
I don't know, but they do.
Stupid things.
But anyways, we have one more home to go and see, and it's a private one, and it's
popular.
It's very popular because it's very new, and
Actually, it's not that new.
Well, okay, it's not that new, but in comparison to some of the other ones, it's newer. All right, God, lately I've had to qualify everything I've said to him. Okay, I'm getting him a room with my mother. Okay.
Oh God.
Oh, well, that would serve you right, wouldn't it? But anyways, so we go
That's
see
about as
that.
bad as getting a room with you.
Yeah, well, you've already had it for 35, almost 35 years, so get over it. Anyways, we go to this other one, but we couldn't get in for a tour until the 25th. But that's the last one I'm going to be looking at, I think. Already know, and I've talked to my mother about them all and everything. I know what you have to pick 5 and you rank them, and I know what ranking we're going to do. And I mean, that's assuming they put her on the list. We're waiting. I have not been contacted yet and it's been 2 weeks. So if I don't hear anything by the middle of the week from, I know her name is Crystal, because the occupational therapist knew who the caseworker was from the organization that does all of this. I know they're busy. They're busy as hell. There's no two ways about it. I wouldn't want their job. But that's why I've been patient about this, waiting, because also in the back of my mind, I'm going, what if they don't put her on the waiting list? I will get nasty, and I have to. It's 4 to 5 years. In 4 to 5 years, my mother will be in her early 80s.
Well, as it is right now, she's can't get around very well.
No, and I mean, and it's progressively getting worse. Now, she's interviewing a cleaning lady on Tuesday. She says, "Do you want to be there?" I says, "No. This is someone's coming in to clean for you. Already recommended by several people in your building. She's been there for years, working there. They love her. She's cheap, $15 an hour. And my mother's apartment's not that big, so I anticipate at the most 3 hours, $45. I mean, our cleaning lady takes about 3 hours to do our whole house, and I consider her inexpensive as well. But she charged us $120 for 3 hours. Actually, she used to charge us $100, but we gave her a raise because we've had her for years, like 15, maybe more than that. Now I don't know, and she's pretty good, except when she's thieving all of our cleaning products. She's not really doing that. She's uses our cleaning products because that's the way it was established when we first got her. But lately, we've been noticing she brings some of her own stuff, and I think what she does is she's packing up. She just, it just gets mixed in with her stuff. So we're down 2 bottles of Windex. Not the end of the world. So I got to remember to write her a note and go, can you just sort of double check when you're packing up your stuff that, you don't have some of our stuff too? I mean, I trust her. She's not pilfering from us. I know that. I mean,
well, this has just happened more recently.
She had help last time that came with her. And I'm wondering if the help that came with her, who's not used to the routine, may have just accidentally packed it up in her stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's not going to steal our stuff.
No. It's just annoying because then I ran out and got another bottle of Windex. I mean, it's not that it's a big deal, but it's just that I just have to remember to get another bottle. So.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad. Just checking up here. Hi, Jody, and hi, Lana, and hi, Julie. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. Okay. So, anyways, yeah, the nursing home visits. So let's move on. Let's talk about my other obsession. Let's talk about, can you guess? Am I going to talk about bird watching? No, because I don't do that. Am I going to talk about my modeling career? No, because I've never done that. Let's talk quilting and sewing. Surprise. Okay, I know I'm obsessed. Everybody else knows I'm obsessed. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And to the point where I'm not doing anything else. Although you will find a new video coming out probably, it'll be up for tomorrow. I did do a mixed media piece, which I think turned out pretty good. So I did a process video about that. So yeah, and I keep putting on the back burner the Australian scrapbook because scrapbooking isn't...
Hop to it.
Yeah, real hop to ha. Well, I was hoping to get it done before we go to our friend's place for dinner in next couple of weeks because they're going to Australia for the first time and they're going to Singapore. They're doing like 3 cruises back to back.
Yeah.
So they're going to... So I thought, they've asked us lots of questions about everything over there. And I thought it'd be nice to show them some pictures. I mean, I have the ones I took a year and a half ago when we went, and I've got those done. But I don't know. I'm not into scrapbooking anymore. I mean, I don't want to use the word lame because it's not lame. I loved it. I did it forever. But, you know, your tastes change. And right now, I'm all about quilting. So, speaking of that, last sewing class, in that there's only 4 of them for this quilt. I finished the quilt. And yesterday, I finished the binding. And it is quilted. And people, I am proud of this. And I'll be talking about this on my blog tomorrow as well. So, here it is. All done. Now, the quilting, you probably see it in there, but it goes around the chevrons. It goes on the outside of them. It's not stitched in the ditch. And my binding turned out perfect this time. I have finally mastered, I think, how to do that. Thanks to the instructor. She gave me some tips that made a lot of sense. And yeah, so I'm really proud of this quilt. You want to see the back? Fun material on the back. Here's the back. So now I have another one on the go, which were the scraps. I made too many of these blocks. I didn't realize that was part of that material was supposed to be for the binding. I had to buy more. Actually, I wasn't the only one in the class who did that. A whole bunch of the other ones did it too. Because I think Sharon kind of assumed that we realized we didn't have to cut all the material out for this, but I guess, well, we didn't. So I made another quilt out of it, and it's not done yet. I've got the top done. I got material for the backing, and I want to do some free motion quilting on it, but at the moment, that might have to wait because there's free motion quilting. I'm practicing. This is a practice piece. And yeah, I had a little trouble with loops and things and whatnot. And I have done a video. I'm starting a new series on the blog. I'll talk more about it tomorrow, but it's called, the first video's up. I call it The Idiot Quilter. And so you'll find it now on, I'm going to make on my channel. I'm going to do a series of videos as time goes by, just little short ones, 10 minutes long kind of thing, about my trials and tribulations on my quilting journey with all of this. So
I still think you should have called it the Tasteless Quilter.
yeah, Walter thinks I should have called it the Tasteless Quilter, you know, bland designs, Tasteless Quilter. Yeah, I like Idiot better.
Yeah.
I don't know, some people don't get the connection between my last name and
Okay.
the expression. So anyways, maybe that's a good thing. So Ilona's here. Hi, Ilona. And let's see, just what are people saying? Okay, thank you for the nice comments about the quilt, everybody. Now you need a small bed to put it on. This is a problem. What do you do with them? This is quilt number 4. I put the Australian quilt on our guest bed, just on top of it, because it's not big enough to be a bedspread, just to lay it out there. I put the first 2 quilts I made are draped over our couch down in our rec room. This one, I have no idea. I may just put it on top of the bed as well. I guess over time, once I get a little bit more confident, I'll start maybe doing quilts that I'll give away to, you know, family, friends as gifts, charities, things like that, when I get a little bit more competent. But, you know, after you've put all this time and effort into it, you kind of don't want to give it away. But what do you do with them? You know? So, let's see. Jody says, nice work, Stephen. Looks like a difficult chevron design. Yes, I watched the Idiot Quilter segment today. Actually, it's not that difficult. You do these half square triangles, they call them, but we did them on paper. It's like paper piecing, but it's not really paper piecing. But you just lay your stuff down, cut it out, sew it, and you get straight lines, and you can rattle off quite a few of them in no time. But the problem with that is you got to peel the stupid paper off at the back. It tears off fairly easily, but it's a pain in the butt. But right now, I'm not showing it to you today. I might show it on the vlog tomorrow. I'm doing something called blocks for a string quilt. That's basically where you take strips of your material, you put them down on light tissue-like paper, and you just sew it across that and then peel the paper off, and you get these squares, and it's really fast. And
Why do you need to use the paper?
instead of having to line up each of your things precisely, it's
Oh,
like you can rapid fire it through, and it comes out the right size because you use paper.
Oh.
I'm using deli paper for it. Deli paper works like a charm with it. So, anyways, it's just a way to use up your scraps and things like that. Speaking of scraps, so I made a quilted tote bag out of my scraps, and here it is. It's a bland bag. I have squared bottoms, and I quilted it. There's zigzag lines across here. It's got quilting, like batting in it, and there's the inside. It's just pieced together from scraps. Took me a day to make it. Well, actually, I started it. Took me a day and a half, put it that way, from start to finish. It's my own design, and I made it big enough to be able to hold my extended platform when I go to sewing class, and my rulers and stuff like that. So I love making bags. I love designing them too. So as you can see, it's a bland bag. Look for it at Gucci store, coming soon. So anyways, what are people saying here? Oh, Marion is here. She says, I watch your videos all the time, but haven't participated in the chat. Well, now you can. Yeah, and you're most welcome to. Catherine says, my quilt teacher designated a bed in her home and just kept piling them on. Of course, she would take her students to the room to show us. Well, thanks for the comment about the bag. Laura says it's boho style. What's boho? I'm not sure what boho style is. That's a word that I've seen around.
Boho is buy one, get one.
No, that's bogo. This is boho, B-O-H-O. I think, does it mean bohemian? Like, that kind of, psychedelic 1960s how wild piece, saw you at Woodstock, let's get naked and screw. Oops. I said screw. I did not say the other bad word. Okay. So I don't know. Someone fill me in on what boho really is. Oh, Susie Q's here. Hi, Susie. Sody Q says, I quilted years ago. I think I may start up again. Yeah, I've had some people make comments about that somehow I've got them, I'm hooking them into the fever of quilting. Catherine says, yes, boho. It's yes, bohemian. Okay. And it means that in a good way, according to Jody. And Laura says, yes, but it's like a neon style of the 60s. Yeah, there's some elements here. Some of that material is bright. Actually, these scraps all came from my very first quilt. The one I made from a
Some
kit.
of that's that cafe.
Yeah, Cafe Fawcett is the designer, and you've probably heard of him. He's famous for his materials and for his wool and things like that. Let's see. Okay, so anyways, doing that, got Scrappy Bag. Two things we were going to talk about but didn't happen. One, we were supposed to be at a volunteer appreciation lunch at the art gallery today. They called us yesterday and said they were canceling it. Oh, go figure. I pretty much figured that was going to happen because there's no way we would have got there. And disappointing, we were going to go to Creative Festival, which is out by the airport in Toronto, so it's about 40 minutes, an hour away from us.
It's not an hour. It's about
Depends how fast you drive.
Yeah, 45 minutes away from us.
Anyways, at the point when we were looking out yesterday morning, and I wanted to go because they had quilt stuff and all that kind of stuff.
They weren't sure whether it was going to rain or freeze rain or get ice pellets, and the part that I worry about is freeze rain. So
you don't want to drive in that.
I mean, ice pellets you can sort of drive in it, but it's the freezing rain can cause the streets to become like skating rinks, and there's already been like tons of accidents on the road. I didn't really want to risk it, so
yeah. So
I didn't really want to get all the way there and find out we're stuck and we can't get back. So I mean, we could get a hotel room or something.
Yeah, but but
it's still bad today. So
yeah, so
it's not like we could have come home today either. So
no. So anyways, that was a wise decision. A little disappointing. I kind of wanted to go. But then again, Walter looked it up on the internet, and it seems like they didn't have a lot of people were disappointed in it this year. Why? Because there was
because there were less not presenters. There were less what do you call it?
Look at the people, not at me.
Oh, sorry, less people display. What do you call it?
Vendors.
Vendors. Less vendors there then. Yeah, I looked them up and they had a list of vendors. Well, that list was as of March, but it only looked like there was about 15 to 20 of them.
Because it used to be a huge thing. I remember going years ago to it, and it had everything. Like not just quilting and sewing, they had scrapbooking, paper crafts, rubber stamp. They had all kinds of stuff. So I guess it's just a sign of the times.
And a couple of the vendors weren't even anything to do with quilting and stuff. Like it wasn't like or paper crafts or anything.
Well, what were they?
I can't remember.
Vacuum cleaners?
Yeah, it was something totally off the wall. I can't remember what it was.
Candles. Something. Well, I
and
guess
a couple of magazine companies. And
oh yeah, well they're probably they usually are. They're the ones that make like Northcott, whatever. They do a whole series of magazines on everything from quilting to scrapbooking to
yeah, I know. So
art
there was
journal.
that, and then there was I don't know some other company, and it was I can't remember what it was, but it was like vegetable peelers or something like that.
Oh well, there's always those ones that it slices, it dices, it makes julienne fries, that kind of thing. It's miraculous. Look, you can make your radish into a rose.
Yeah, it looks amazing until you get it home, and then you can't figure out how to do it.
And we've had some of those gadgets before, like the one that you screwed into your potato or something, go around. You're supposed to make this lovely garnish that goes everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're going to use that.
Yeah, well, really quick. We didn't buy it. That
now,
was
mind you,
the
one thing that we did buy was that.
The Spezzle maker.
The Spezzle maker. Nobody will know what that is.
Yeah, well, if we have any Germans, they'll know. Spezzle is like a pasta, except that you basically make up flour, water, salt, and
it's like a pasta almost.
But and you put it through this cylinder thing that squeezes out like remember the Fun Factory from Play-Doh with the shapes, and you'd squeeze and they come out the shape. Well, that's kind of like how this thing works, and you drop them into boiling water and they go out.
Supposedly you can make noodles on that too.
Yeah.
But we've never done that. We've just used it for Spezzle.
I love Spezzle. Spezzle actually doesn't have much flavor to it. It's all you serve it with like schnitzel, that kind of stuff. I love Spezzle. It's not hard to make. I mean,
I think it's sort of like a dumpling, but it's like a really small dumpling.
So, Catherine knows what we're talking about because she says she's German. Oh, and Julie says I do paper piecing quilting, all hand sewn. Hand sewn? Whoa. That is something I will never do is hand sew. I can't. It's bloodletting for me. Me with a needle in my hand? No. Of course, there's going to be blood. Because I'm sitting in my little sewing area, and I've got my.
I should have like a bell or something.
Yeah, put a bell around your neck. Yeah, and suddenly this voice goes, "What do you want for lunch?" Ah! My fingers could have gone under that needle. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm an old man. You're giving me a heart attack. Maybe that's the plan.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Maybe. Fine. I've been poisoning your food for years. So. Mel's here. Hi, Mel.
You may be poisoning my food, but I always switch the plates when you're not looking. So.
Yeah, then I switch them back when you're not looking. So whatever. But anyway, so that we couldn't go because of the big ice storm. So there you go. Well, I guess I saved some money.
And we don't usually stay home if it snows or anything. No. That snowing's not a big deal. It's ice that bothers me. So.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be driving in that. So. You can't drive in it. You just step on the gas and pray. It's like your car's on automatic pilot as it goes this way and goes that way and every which way.
I used to commute to Toronto all the time, and I remember going in one year. There was a sort of a nice storm, and there was a patch of ice on the 401, and all of a sudden, all I saw, 401's our big highway. All of a sudden, all I saw was cars going everywhere. Everywhere. They were going off the road and in the ditch. They were going everywhere.
Laura says, unless the power goes... Oh, no. Laura says, I know. I have to take the bus in tomorrow. So Laura's a teacher. I used to teach with her. So, yeah. And unless the power goes out in the school, yeah. Well, the thing is, with teachers, the school that Laura teaches at is well, it was when I was there. I don't know, Laura. You have to tell me now because they probably changed the boundaries when they opened up the other school in Brooklyn. But half our students were bused. So, of course, the buses won't run in something like this, liability issues and the whole bit. But the teachers still are expected to go into school. They will not close the school ever for anything. The last time I heard about a school actually being closed, I think I was working 15 years ago in another school, and we had a horrible snowstorm. We couldn't get out of our subdivision. We didn't live here. It was more than 15 years ago. That's over 20
We
some
had a
years ago.
snowstorm that was so bad that we could not actually get out of our subdivision, which I think that was the only time ever in my whole life that I'd ever seen that.
And they didn't shut, the official word for shutting down the schools in our region did not come until about 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I guess they figured out that teachers couldn't actually physically get in. And of course, the people at the board office, they're all cozy because they can work from home and the whole bit, like idiots. So, whatever. Let's see here. What's people saying? Jody says, I have never seen an ice storm, just in movies. Well, tomorrow I'll show you the video on my vlog, so tune in for that. And you'll see what it looks like.
Well, actually, this is a weird ice storm because it didn't actually, because it was ice pellets, nothing stuck to the trees. If you get freezing rain, sometimes it sticks to the trees. And then it actually looks pretty.
Yeah.
All the trees break.
Yeah.
But this one didn't cover the trees, so, but it's all these little, it's sort of like snow, it looks like snow, but it's little tiny little ice pellets. And it hurts when they hit you in the head.
It's kind of like hail, but finer.
Very fine hail.
And continues. Hail usually doesn't last for hours. Like,
no, this was coming down all day yesterday. And our deck was completely clear. Now it's piled up.
Yeah, it's piled up. It looks like snow, but it's not snow. It's ice pellets.
And it's really hard to shovel. It weighs a ton.
It's kind of like when your freezer needs defrosting. You know what it looks like on the inside? That's what this stuff looks like.
And it's
Marion says,
I couldn't get it. I tried shoveling the front walkway, but I could only get so far down without having to chip it.
Well, Marion says, I'm in Michigan and we're in that ice storm here too. Yeah. And Mel says, lucky you, Jody. Hope you never will see it. Laura says, we have a large French immersion student population that are bust. And Mel says, last week we had more snow, but now it's been so warm and snow is melting quickly. Yeah, it should be gone. Now.
Actually, all of March, we had no snow at all March. It was above 0. It was not freezing at all March. And this is the middle of April. It's been clear since till the middle of April, and then all of a sudden we got this.
Well, you want to know something? It's payback. We went to Australia, and when it should have been the baddest part of winter here, and going, oh, we're in a nice warm climate. We came back, and God's going, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. And as Laura says, April has been a bitch. It certainly has been. So anyways, that's what we have today, and we'll see what it brings tomorrow, and maybe once this is out of its system, maybe we'll get into some spring weather.
It's supposed to go up warmer this week. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow.
Oh, great. Flood. Okay. So anyways, so I told you about the new show, The Idiot Quilter. That would be me. We'll see how many of those do. I put up also a new whatever. That's my other one that I do every time. I just get a quirk and put up a 7-minute, 10-minute video up there. So that's there. But speaking of all these videos and things like that, actually, before we talk about that, I'm going to jump down to anything getting to know you. Well, nobody sent me anything for this show. I do have, though, a couple of things for the vlog. I like to do those ones on the vlog as opposed to here because then I can couple it with some graphics so you can see, and I can't do that with the technology I'm using here. If I was a little bit more sophisticated with technology, I probably could. So anyways,
you've been looking for something.
Yeah, I have been looking for, ways to do it. Like, last week we talked about Walter and I both doing sort of a little challenge thing and in crafting. But the big problem is is I really wish I had something where I could switch between cameras easily. And there are products out there, it's just they're expensive. There's a program that I went online and looked at, and I thought you could download it. But no, you have to pay a monthly subscription to use it. And it allows you to do that. It allows you to
And it's
use...
not so bad if you could just, even if it was expensive, it wouldn't be so bad if you
If
could
you
just
owned it.
buy it and it's a one-time fee. But this thing is it's a monthly subscription.
It's a monthly subscription, and
it's
it's not cheap
it's more expensive than
than buying like a
TV
really... Yeah.
TV subscription or something.
Well, by the time you're done. And so it's really good program. I tried the little trial thing with it, and it works through your cell phones, your iPads, the whole bit, and you can hook up all the different devices in your house, like if they're I/O
Yeah,
things.
because
Like,
we were fooling around with it one day,
yeah,
a trial version, and looked really neat. But then we found out that you have to have a
yeah,
subscription to it.
you know,
So,
and it's a lot of money. So we're not doing
I
that.
mean, it's good if you're making a lot of money and while you're doing this stuff.
Yeah.
But
Well, which brings me to something I was seeing on YouTube. You're probably familiar with Ken's Creations. I think I reviewed them once a long time ago. But Ken's Creation is one of the, biggies on the internet for talking about, crafting, card making, cricket, mainly cricket, because they're big into that, but other things as well. Well, Ken and Sean are located in Washington
State.
State. There is somewhere, they're not in Seattle, or are they? No.
No, Spokane. Is it
Spokane, Washington. That's where they are. Anyways, they had this big announcement yesterday, and if you follow them, you know what I'm talking about. Ken, I guess, has decided that he can't handle the pressure of trying to run a video channel, a YouTube channel, and some other things that he does, plus his regular job, because he works as a manager in a bank kind of a thing. And I think he's got a really good job. He seems to like his job. So he's made a big decision to quit his job and to do YouTube videos and other things full time. Thing is, where does your income come from? I mean, Sean works too, apparently, but the way Ken put it, Ken's the one that makes the big money or whatever. And so that brings up a whole question of Patreon. Now, probably many of you are familiar with Patreon. Patreon is a way of getting money for doing videos or whatever you're doing. The way Patreon works is you pledge a monthly amount. It can be as little as $1. It could be as much as whatever the different levels are that the person setting it up sets it to. And the idea is if you pledge $5 a month, then you're going to get something back, a reward. And the rewards get bigger and better the more that you pledge each month. And I looked into this, probably a year ago a bit. Actually, I signed up for an account, but I never activated it. Just to see what it was all about. So I want to take a few minutes to bounce ideas off of you and just get your feedback on certain things. I don't do this. We don't do Stephen and Walter Live. I don't do my vlogs. I don't do any of my other videos because I'm trying to earn money. I do get a little bit of money from the advertising that YouTube puts up, that I allow to come up on my site.
And it's very little.
And it's very little. In fact, I'm getting my next payment next week, and the threshold before they pay out anything is to make $100. And so I made $105, and that was since January the 21st. Each time, how long it takes me to hit my threshold of $100 has gotten a little bit smaller. I basically use that as a gauge to see, who's watching, how popular my videos are, and that kind of thing. I'm certainly not doing it to make any money because $105 is not going to buy you much out of it all. But there are people who actually do all of this, and they're in it for the money. Some of the ones that go viral, that have, 1 million hits on one video, they're just cashing in on that. But they do other things, and Patreon's one of them. So you get people like Melanie Lane. Now, Melanie Lane, if you don't know who she is, look her up. She's affiliate it with cricket in the way she's always showing how to use things in cricket. She's got a really nice house down in Florida in a, in a gated community kind of a thing. She's was driving around now in a Tesla. Whether she leases it, how that works, don't know, but that's a $100,000 car. She doesn't work, but she spends a lot of time making videos, doing live productions, and she has Patreon. So Walter did like what Walter can do. He went to find out. So what did you find out about Melanie Lane and some of the others?
She has 4,500 Patreons, and Patreons would give, the minimum they can give her is $1 a month, right? So if she has it's 4,400 and some 96 or something like that Patreons that she has. So if each one of them gives her $1 a month, she's getting, the minimum she's getting is $4,500 a month. And I've noticed other sites, some places, some people will say how much they're getting per month, right? So, and her pledges go anywhere from $1 to $100 a month, right? I don't know how many people will give her $100 a month, but anyway. But I saw other people that have had like 200 subscribers, and they get $1,500 a month, right? From people giving them money, right?
So that's like about $18,000 a year.
So like a lot of them are giving like $5 to $10 a month. So if you get something simple like 4,500 subscribers times 5, then she's getting over $20,000 a month if everybody gives her $5, right?
So
that's
she
pretty
can afford a
lucrative.
Tesla. Yeah, that's quite lucrative out of it all.
Now, mind you, when you looked her up, she's one of the ones that has the highest number of subscriber base.
Yeah.
For Patreons. Like, I mean, there aren't too many people that have.
No,
that
she's
many.
an exception, and she's made it into, and bully for her, really. She's been very clever, and she's not taking advantage of people. She gives quality back. But that's the thing. So, I was just talking about, a different video system and the whole bit like that. Well, I can't really afford that because that would cut into my quilting money. Priorities here, people. But you have to offer a reward. And this is the part that bothers me. I get it. Yeah, you want to give something because people are supporting you and that. But what do you give? I mean, you don't want to be too overambitious with this. Like if you're going to make them something every month, you get 100 subscribers, 50 subscribers, 25 subscribers on Patreon, and you're giving them something every month. You have to spend the time making that. Now, I see what some people do is they offer a private video about something or a private video class at a certain level. All of that takes time to create. And I'm not at the point, like, this isn't my job.
And you don't necessarily want it to become a job either.
No, because then you become obligated.
Yeah.
Like, if people are going to give me money, I feel obligated to give something in return. Value for your money kind of a thing. And that would stress me out, doing that kind of thing. However, I don't know. What would people expect to get? Like, if I suddenly decided to, have a Patreon account and at $5 a month, you can set several levels up to you. But let's say just set, one level, $5 a month. What would people expect for $5? And how do you work that so they don't feel like they're getting, gypped or taken? I don't know. Now, I see that some people have made some comments about this on here, so let me just back up a minute. Catherine says, Stephen, did you ever watch YouTube Mr. Domestic? Nope, haven't seen that, but I'll write that down and check that one out.
Mr. Domestic.
Mr. Domestic. I've not heard about that one, but check that out. Joey says, yes, I'm familiar with Patreon. This is Dan Bell on YouTube does it. A lot of people on YouTube do it, actually. A lot of the bigger names, like Ken's Creations. He's got a Patreon, but he's saying now that he didn't put a lot of effort into that before, but now I think you're going to see he's going to put a lot more effort into it since he quit his job, and he's making these full time. Laura says, yes, Mike Deacon has his angels, and so I have an extra content for that. Yes, now, this is different from Patreon. And I think Mike Deacon has the right way to do it. He's cut out the middleman. See, if you join Patreon and you do it, they take
5%. Well, 10%.
10% total from whatever you make. Okay, well, yeah, they're a company. They got to make money. So that's fine. What Mike does is he set it up through his own website, his angels. You give whatever you want. It's not on a subscription plan. It's whatever. I've given him some money before too. And then he lets you know when he's got some of his products, because he makes stencils and laser cuts and things like that. He usually has new ones every month. You can pre-order them before he sends them out to the general public. And he only gets a limited few of them made at a time. So like, because I'm an angel, as soon as he comes out with his new stencils, because I love his stencils, I buy them every month. And I'm ahead of the game on it. But, you know, I only gave him, maybe I should give him some more money. Well, I give him a lot of money when I'm buying his products, I suppose. But I only gave him $10 towards that. But he's also self-employed. And part of his income comes from what he does with his website and that kind of thing. But it's reasonable. He doesn't promise you anything beyond the fact that you'll get, you know about a new product first so you can pre-order it for the rest of the public. And he did talk about special videos. To be honest, I haven't checked in the angel section to see if there's anything there. I haven't had any announcements from him that there's anything there like lately. So, and that's what I mean. He makes 2, 3, 4 videos a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah. On there. So I don't know how he has time to make another one that's special for Patreons. And that's what I mean. You know, you don't want to be over ambitious about this kind of thing. Promise people something that you can't keep, because the first thing that's going to happen when people are paying you money.
Sorry, I was just checking if it's gotten any warmer outside.
If you're paying people money for something, you expect something in return, and they're going to get nasty if you don't give them what, you know, value for it. So let's see what else people say here. Catherine says, Adele Toomey didn't go back to teaching because her Patreon account is supplementing her income sufficient to let her stay at home. Yes, but there's another person too. She didn't go back to teaching. I got the feeling she wasn't really fond of that. She's got a small baby at home. So this works well for her. She has a husband who's in IT, and he's a techno geek and can help her out with all that stuff, although she seems pretty much astute with it as well. She already has a huge following as well. She has good quality videos. I watch them all the time as well. And so, yeah, for her, I think that's perfect. She's young. So, you know, she's starting out. She's running a business kind of thing, because it is a business. And, yeah, that's great. Great for someone like her. I don't need to start a business at this point in my life, and I have a pension and that. I mean, I don't have to do this for money. However, sometimes it would be nice to have the extra money to put back into what I'm doing. Would that make my videos better? Yeah, I don't know. And also, I don't want to be a slave to it. I do it because I like it. As soon as it becomes work, I wouldn't do it again. That is not to say that I might. I'm thinking about looking into a little bit more. But believe me, if I do, then I'm going to make sure people get quality, and I'm not going to jeopardize people who just simply don't want to buy into something like that, or, you know, penalize them because they're not. I'm not going to do that with it. So, anyways, it was just a thought. I want to see your ideas about it. Sudoku says, so what do you get in return? Well, this is the thing. Some of them offer you like a lovely handmade thank you card at, you know, the $2 month. Wow. Or an extra video every month that only you or people who have paid into it can see. Or they can see them first.
Or then some of them get a little tricky, like, we'll feature you on our channel, and your name will be in up in lights.
Your name will be in, like, as a producer for the show. That's kind of lame, I think. But that's the thing. But also, Melanie, what she offers, she's clever about it. she doesn't really offer anything that is unmanageable. It's already stuff she's doing. So like an extra video, but she's constantly making videos. Or your name is entered into a draw for a $50 gift certificate at one level for, I don't know, whatever. And like for Amazon, I think. Or at the $100 level or something, you're entered in a draw every month for a $300 gift certificate. Well, if you're making what she's making on it, $300 gift certificate, $50 gift certificate once a month, not even denting the load on that one. So she's clever because that's no effort whatsoever, really. Not extra time on her part. And I'm not bad-mouthing Melanie Lane. She has quality videos. She does, although I question the ones where she's running around looking at the sunset in her golf cart. Those ones, really? Or in the morning, sunrise in Florida? Yeah, okay. No. It was interesting when she moved into her new house to see her house and how she set it up for her. Because, I mean, she's got an amazing, well, it's her whole living room. And it's an open concept kind of house to the kitchen and the whole bit is nothing but her studio, her craft room, whatever. And it's huge.
She has like about 10 cricket machines.
Yeah. And she also has an assistant.
No.
I have an assistant. He drives me wherever I want to go. It's called Driving Miss
Chauffeur.
Daisy. Driving Miss Daisy. We're going out. Yep. But anyways, what else is being said here? Creations CC uses Patreon. She's an artist but puts out free videos too. Her Patreon subscribers get extra videos. And that's what I think a lot of them do is extra videos. Mel says, I don't like Patreon. Good for makers, but it comes quite expensive for users if you have many people you would like to follow and support. Yeah, I agree. Like, okay, I'm as cheap as the next guy. I don't pay for stuff that I can get for nothing. That's just me. You know, like, these are not people that are, it's not a charity. They're making it into a business for whatever reason. Again, if you can get it, more power to you, I guess. Mel also says, I was a subscriber for a few Patreon art-related channels, but no more. I still find similar quality content for free on YouTube. Yeah, there is. And Julie says, I always thought Patreon was for crafters who did not have much money. Well, some of them will tell you that in order to, for them to continue producing quality videos about stuff, they need the money. I'm not really sure about that. It doesn't really, except in time.
I mean, the only thing is you know, like that video switching software or some more advanced software or whatever. Yeah, it would be nice if you had a little bit more money to do that. But other than that, it doesn't really take, other than time, a whole lot for you to produce a video.
Yeah, so that one always bugs me when they cry this poverty stricken and whining for money. And those ones I don't like. Like, Mike Deacon tells you, he thanks people for being an angel. He tells you what you're going to get. It's straightforward. It's upfront. There are others that I find a little bit more slimy about it. You know, that's, I don't know. It's like the GoFundMe things, you know?
Yeah.
You know, maybe people, I want to help my mother. Could you please, if I put up Patreon, if you give me $10 a month, which will help me put her in a really nice home that'll look after her for many years, for only, shut up, I'm on a roll. For only $10 a month, I can feed my mother and keep her in good health. Could you see your way to only $10 a month? And as a reward, I'll send you a picture of her. Yeah, okay, that's not happening. All right. Am I being facetious? Go figure. Yeah. So let's see. What else do people say here? I think you really need to be tech savvy with extra classes emailed to them, etc. Yeah, it has to be a business. This is not my life, okay? I enjoy making these. This is a hobby. I really do. I mean, I look forward to doing Stephen and Walter every week, and I enjoy doing my vlog and the other things that I do. But my livelihood doesn't focus on this. I have other interests in my life. Well, lately only quilting, but you know, that kind of thing. Um, oh, Brenda's here. Hello, everyone. Sorry so late. I fell asleep. How dare you? Really? Fell asleep. I hope not during our show. Um, what else here? Laura says, me too, and I got some great digi downloads and I get his stencils too. Yeah, you get some good stuff from Mike. Mel says, I think Artist Network TV is much better as you have monthly subscription and you can watch all videos without paying monthly payment to all creators separately. Yeah, and that's like Craft Cease. Now got the unlimited, and I just joined that. It's $150 Canadian a year, but you have unlimited videos. You can watch all the classes, and so I've got a whole list in my save list of course, quilting ones that I want to see. I'm trying it for a year because I have bought some of their classes. They're good quality, but one class costs you about 30 bucks or more. So really, the cost of 4 classes is about what I'm paying for a year. I get more out of this. That is if I spend any time watching them. But, you know, I give it a shot. Jody says, hopefully Mike has health insurance covered somehow. Yeah, interesting, because both he and Ian are self-employed. Ian has Vern Industries where he makes his steampunk stuff, and it seems like every weekend over there he's going to some kind of show and he's selling his steampunk, and it sounds like he's very successful at doing it. But I've went online, I've ordered some stuff from him. It hasn't come yet. Some small gauges and things because I think they're really cool and they weren't expensive. And he has these imaginative machines. I kind of want to try that at some point in time. It's on my list of 1,000 things I want to try. But he makes money doing that, but I don't think they have any other income except what he brings in from Vern Industries. And Mike is a graphic artist, and I think he does have contracts with certain companies where he designs. I heard him mention this once. I think he designs packaging, you know, like the headings and everything like that. Plus, he does the other stuff. So they look like they have a nice house, though. I mean, they have pot lights. If I see pot lights in a house, I go, ooh, that's new. That's nice.
Oh, and he has, England has National Health Service.
Yeah, true. Like
I'm not
us.
exactly sure how that all works, if there's actually a fee that they have to pay or...
And they're probably careful with their money as well because they're not spring chickens. I mean, they're younger than us, but not a lot. They're in their 50s and that kind of thing. So I don't know what they do for an income. But, you know, Mike's totally different off of this. I totally support Mike. Always have, as you know, because he's one of my favorites. And giving him that 10 bucks, and I have been thinking lately I should send him another 10 bucks out of it all. But I buy his products and everything. It's good quality. It's a good price. And I love his videos. I never miss them. I watch them all the time. So I am a groupie for him. Let's see. Catherine says, a number of channels I follow, they give you image downloads, printable, and special in-depth video instructions. Yeah, see, I don't know. What am I going to send you? A square for a quilt? What? Plus, you got to pay postage for that, and your Patreons could come from anywhere around the world. So, you know, that adds into your expense too. So you guys sit down and really think about
I
this
imagine
kind of stuff.
$1 is an American dollar too that you have to...
Oh, yay, my $30.75 payment just went through to my Bell. Wow, good to know. Okay. What else is here? My eyes aren't focusing very well. Kath says, I don't subscribe to Adele, but don't get me wrong, I love Adele Toomey. I believe her husband brings in quite a substantial income too. Yeah, I think that they do okay for a young couple with a baby and the whole bit. And she's another one. I don't resent that she's got a Patreon or anything with that because her stuff is quality. It's good quality. And you know she thinks about it, plans it ahead of time, the whole bit. So, yeah. But I'm sure there's lots of fly-by-nighters on Patreon who might be getting money and not giving back. Like, that's my problem. I would expect to give back more than what I'm getting. That's just the way I am.
Anybody that's a Patreon member giving money they have the option of not stopping.
Oh yeah, you can stop anytime. You can if they're not, that kind of thing. I have never ever subscribed to Patreon for anybody. Again, I'm cheap. So that would probably be it.
Yeah, that's sort of, I'm amazed that these people have all these supporters.
That people actually, yeah, that was, what we were thinking about the other night. I mean, it's like Happy Mail, okay? I said this on one of my vlogs a year ago or something. Like Mike Deacon gets Happy Mail. People send him stuff, and then he does a video and shows what they've given him. They get some cool stuff, but I mean, it's other people's cast-offs and the whole bit. And I just cleaned out a year ago my craft room, and I need to do it again. I don't need other people's cast-off stuff, so I purposely have never gone the Happy Mail route with it. So what else? Melanie has live sessions for Patreon sometimes. Yeah, she had one yesterday, actually, because she does a public one. And that's another way that they get money too. And I watch it on Melanie's. Melanie comes on in the morning on Saturdays. She does a live one for about an hour with everybody. Anybody can join in on it. And she's usually talking about Cricut and how to use it because she's an expert on using the Cricut machine. But then you can set up, I could do it with this one too, but I'm not going to do it, so don't worry.
Well, not only that, we only have 21 people. So.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. So I need okay, I want $100 from every one of you 21 right now. Or I will stop the video. No, I'm not going to do that. But they have something that comes up on the side when you're watching it on your computer, and what do they call it? You donate money. And you can donate any amount you want. I watched Melanie's in an hour. In an hour in a video, she makes a minimum of $100. People are giving her $5, $10, some give her $20. I mean, her videos are informative, but they're not I can find out whatever she's talking about if I needed to know on YouTube from anybody else too, for nothing. So I don't get this. Although I'm going to say something right now that maybe the Americans will not like, but are they tips? Because Americans love to tip. It's a different mentality in Canada when it comes to tipping. Well, we're tight. But Americans tip for everything. And I'm just wondering if this is an extension of tipping. Thanks, Melanie. I want to show my appreciation for what you've done. Like, thank you for making my service so prompt and the food was great. Whatever. Here's $5. I don't know.
Yeah, the old joke that Americans tell us, what's the difference between a Canadian and a canoe?
Yeah.
A canoe tips.
Canoe tips, yeah. You were just waiting to get that one in.
Oh, yeah,
you got that yesterday. It's your laugh of the week. So anyways, just quickly what other people are saying. Catherine says, I won't mention names, but I bought from a popular YouTube channel and had to laugh at the stuff I got. It was not worth it. I learned my lesson. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If I was to have a Patreon and people were pledging me $5 a month, I would expect to give them something that would make their heads spin. And that's a lot of effort and a lot of stress on my part to create something like that. And is it worth it? In my way of thinking right now, no. I don't want to be obligated. And Catherine also says, maybe it appeals to some folks, but I can always move on to other channels. Exactly. And Glenn says, I agree. There are so many good free channels out there. Why pay for something that YouTube has for free? Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. Yeah, Glenn says, you sound like Sally Struthers. You like me. You really, really like me. Okay. And if you don't know that reference, that's from way back at the Academy Awards once. Cindy says, you sold me. Oh, okay. Well, Cindy, my mother would very much appreciate it because now I can get her the gold plate at Walker. That'll be nice. Like she needs that. No. Anyways, Preezy's here. People refuse YouTube ads on principle. Look at Ask a Mortician. She has Patreon because she's a green funeral home owner and disagrees with commercialization.
And she has Patreon.
So people refuse YouTube ads on principle. Yeah, okay. Melanie, for example, does not have ads, YouTube ads on her channel, but she has affiliates. Now, Ken's Creation has affiliates and Crafts by Two have affiliates and all that. And I looked into that, and I don't have a large enough subscriber base to make it worthwhile. But basically, they're affiliates like with Amazon or certain companies where, you know, how they give you the discount code. If you go through their link that they give you, the people making the videos, they get a small commission. I'm not sure how much that commission is. It's probably pennies, but or whatever. But that's how they make more money there. There are ways to make money on YouTube. I mean, you can have your ads. You can have a Patreon. You can have an affiliate as well. You can also get freebies. If you're big enough and you tell people, hey, I'd like to review your product on here, they'll send you freebies to review.
If you're big enough, yeah.
If you're big enough. I'm not big enough, and I've never gone out for the appeal for that or anything like that. Because again, I'm now working for somebody else. It's not under my complete control, and I'm a control freak. So I need to have it under my control. Because it is a job. I'm retired. Why bother? Why do I need to do that? I mean, I always thought it'd be nice to have my own business, that I could work from home, that I could do stuff with that. Well, to have your own business is a lot more work than working for somebody else in many ways. I know my father had his own business for about 18 years. He sucked at it. But I mean, because that was my father's problem. It was he gave good quality work and he'd get stiffed because my father wasn't aggressive enough with it. And I would be the same way because my father always gave 110% and charged less than what he should have been charging. And then some of the deadbeats, all one word, Deacon is Deaki, so that Deacon, Mike, but also go on YouTube. And all you have to do is do a search on his name, Mike Deacon, and you'll find his YouTube videos. He is what I would consider almost the Tim Holtz of England, in a way. Tim Holtz is much more commercialized in the whole bit than Mike is. But Mike's just...
He does craft.
He does art journaling. Right now he's majorly into bookbinding, which I was into bookbinding a few years ago, and I should get back into it again because I really enjoy it. But he's making books for people for commission. Like he sells them. He puts them up on his website, and they're unique. They're one of a kind, and bang, they're gone. I think he charges about £30, so about $60 or money, and they're lovely. They're beautiful, and they also take a long time to make. And at $60 for one of those books, that's cheap for the amount of time he puts into it and the effort. But he does all kinds of things, and his videos are just fun to watch. I think he's great. I talk to Mike every now and then through Facebook and that. And actually in February, he does the Mission Inspiration every month, which is an art journal challenge. He puts it up at the first Saturday of every month. And he sometimes have guest people that do the prompts and do the video. And I was one of those in February that he got me for, which was really nice of him. So I felt flattered. Let's see, what else are people saying here? Yeah. But you don't spell Deacon Kathy like that. It's not deacon like in the deacon of a church. It's Deakin. Preezy says, I'm too lazy to put up a YouTube channel. Well, okay. Doing what we're doing right now takes a little planning, takes a little time. I write out every week. I have sticky notes on my electronic sticky notes on my computer where I plan out my blogs, and I plan this out as things come up in the week to give us things to talk about and whatnot. Yeah, it takes a bit of effort with it, but I'm not married to it. Like, well, as you could tell when I went to, well, maybe not. In Australia, I was desperate to get up stuff for people too. I mean, but I kind of have a relationship. We have a relationship with a lot of you right now, even though we've never actually physically met.
Well, except for Nairi.
Well, for Nairi, yeah. In Australia. But, you know, like, I enjoy talking to you. We enjoy talking to you. Walter likes to talk to you. Of course, he hasn't said anything for the last 5 minutes because
I'm looking out the window.
Oh, the wind has come up now.
The wind has come up, and we have a dead tree on the other side of the fence, and I'm always worried it's going to go down.
Laura says, I need your cast-offs, Steve. Cast-offs of what? Oh, you mean like if I go through my craft room again? I'll keep you in mind, Laura. because you're kind of new to a lot of this. So yeah, next time I do a purge, I'll save you a bundle of stuff. I did that the last time too. I gave away stuff to a local elementary school that's not far from us. They just went hog wild because I came in with 2 or 3 boxes of paper, scrapbook paper. And a lot of them were in, well, they were all in pads. They weren't single sheets. And, those pads range anywhere from $15 to $30 a piece. And I had duplicates and I had all kinds. And I was a paper junkie. Now I'm a fabric junkie. And I knew I'd never, ever use them in 1,000 years. But I knew that an elementary school's art program could use them. Funny thing was, the secretaries were in there going, oh, we're not letting the teacher see this until we've gone through this box. We're scrapbookers. So, fine. I mean, I was glad to share it out there. It didn't go into landfill. Well, I'd never throw it out. And then a couple of the ladies that come to my classes that I teach and that I knew, I gave them a pile of stuff too. I mean, I gave one lady a complete set of chameleon markers. They're expensive. They cost me about $120. But I was not using them. Quite frankly, I didn't like them. But I knew she didn't have a lot of money to spend on art supplies and she'd like to do this stuff. So I thought, hey, go for it. I knew they were going to an appreciative person a good home. So I don't have any problem doing that, giving stuff up. And I have. Miriam says Lindsay Wyrick's husband is quitting his job to work with her. She doesn't use Patreon or anything else that I have heard. I don't know that person.
Is that?
No, that's not the frugal. That's not the frugal crafter, is it? No, I don't think that's her last name, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm just writing this down. Yeah, well, they must have income from another source because, I mean, everybody likes to eat, right? Got to have some money for that. So Glenn says, no, we don't love to tip, just feel that it is an obligation. Well, yeah. And Americans tip for everything. Canadians don't. And in Australia, they don't tip for anything. So, which is kind of refreshing. Of course, their minimum wage and that kind of stuff is much higher than it is here in North America. So,
and minimum wage here went up recently.
Yeah.
So our minimum wage is what? Is it 15 yet?
It'll be 15 next January. It's 14 right now. Great joke, Walter, Glenn says. We tip because the people are making minimum wage. Yes, I get that. But our servers too make minimum wage too. So
but our minimum wage is higher than theirs is. So.
But you want to know something? And maybe this is nasty. Nobody has to be a waiter or a waitress. Doesn't have to be in the service industry. Now, I know right immediately people go, well, they have to because they can't get a job somewhere else or they don't have. Those were all life decisions that they may have made at one time. I made a life decision to get an education and become a teacher. Okay? I wanted to be an accountant at one point. Then I wanted to be an actor on another. And I did take drama in university and that. But I was never going to make it in Hollywood. And I needed something that was more stable and something that allowed me to be creative. And being an English teacher allowed me to do that. And I don't regret it. But I worked hard to get there. Now, yeah, okay, I know this is going to open up a whole can of worms and the whole bit. And I don't want to go there with it. But I do believe that a lot of people fall into jobs because they don't have a plan. So, I don't know. I do believe in tipping in a restaurant. I tip according to the service, probably sometimes over tip. I mean, I've had sometimes rotten service and I still tipped out of it. I guess that's that obligation part that Glenn was talking about. But I feel sorry for them that they need that, to survive, but I don't know. I don't want to get there because I know there's all kinds of...
But we don't tip for a lot of other things.
No, we don't tip because someone...
We'll tip taxi. Maybe. And servers in restaurants. But we don't just tip for everything.
No. I tip my hairdresser, sort of, but I don't.
But lately I've been hearing, well, you should tip somebody if it's takeout food. And
yeah,
I never tip for takeout.
I'm certainly not tipping at McDonald's. Really, they should be paying me to eat that crap. There. Well, I never go to McDonald's, so there you are. Let's see. And they don't want you to get bad reviews. I'm not interested in turning my hobby into a business. Sudoku says too much work. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying too. Lindsay Can is especially good at watercolor, but is adept at craft she shows. So I think it is Lindsay the Frugal Crafter we're talking about here too. Yeah, she teaches classes as well. And
she's an artist, right?
Yeah, she's an artist, and she's a very good artist. And also, I think, I don't know, I am assuming that her husband has a decent job too. So I don't know.
Well, she said that he was quitting or something.
Oh, well, maybe they're doing well on this, whatever other project she has. You don't really know if they don't tell you.
Yeah.
I just closed my... Glenn says, I just closed my own business because it's so much more work than being an employee somewhere. Yeah, that's what my father found. Laura says, I know, I'm trying to make one as well. Okay, I lost the thread there, Laura. You're trying to make what as well? Joey says, I think the real money is in digi-downloads. Yep, probably. The only problem with the digi-down, like you don't have to pay for shipping and stuff like that to send it out to somebody. The only problem is you got to design them. So you have to be somebody that's got some technical background and some artistic ability. If you have those, then yeah, sure, that works fine. And Catherine says, yes, she's a frugal crafter. Okay. Oops. Mel says, Stephen, you could have a little online auction for your old stuff when you clean up your craft room next time. That would bring you some extra money for buying stuff for quilting, etc. Yeah, but then you got to ship it to people.
Yeah.
And shipping here in Canada is expensive with it all. Also, I don't need the money. Okay? I mean, I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. I can afford my hobbies without going into debt. Our house is paid for. My car is paid for. We don't owe anything on credit cards.
My car is paid for.
No, everything's paid for. But we did that over the years. We're very conscious of that kind of thing. We planned for all that. We're not rolling in the dough by any stretch of the imagination. But
I hate paying interest. So.
But I don't have to second guess everything. If I want to buy brand name mustard at the grocery store, damn it, I can afford the good stuff. Okay, but you know, it's all in the planning. Yeah, sure. We just went on a very expensive vacation to Australia. That was planned for. That was saved for.
And paid for.
And paid for. We don't owe anything on any of that. Now, we do have to, you know, update our living room.
But update our house a bit.
Yeah, because like the 90s are calling and they want the living room back.
Yeah.
But you know, but you got to balance these things too. You know, can we live with that if we want to do this? You know, something, you have to give something up to do something like that. So you got to balance it all out with it. Anyways, I don't know. I'm not saying that there isn't a possibility that down the road, not tomorrow, not next week, if ever, that I might experiment with Patreon. But I have to give it a lot of serious thought, and I have to think about what value I can give back to people who are giving me money. So right now I'm saying probably not going to happen. Glenn says, I don't like that they expect 20% now. That actually makes me not want to go out. I don't give 20%, I do 15%. But I love it on the little debit thing. Now they make it so easy. Press 1 for 15, press 2 for 20, press 3 for 25, press 4 for 30, press 5 for blood, whatever on it. And yeah, part of doing a job, any job, is to give your best, is the way I look at it. You shouldn't expect a reward for doing that which is expected of you. I expect a waiter to bring me my food in a timely manner. I expect them to be polite. I expect them to answer any questions I might have about the menu. Fine. If you go beyond that, then yeah, I tip. An example, in Australia, there was a restaurant in Sydney that we went to twice. and there was a young lad waiting in there, and
Actually, in Australia, a lot of places don't have table service.
yeah.
So this particular restaurant had table service. But anyway, go ahead.
So, anyways, he was very good. He was very attentive, friendly, the whole bit. The next time we went in there, we didn't have him. We had somebody else. She was horrible. She tried to upsell us on the wine. Then they had team serving, right? So some other guy, we'd ordered an appetizer and then a main course. So this guy comes over that we'd never seen before. She never came back. Throws down both the appetizer and the food at the same time on the table. Bang.
And took off.
And took off. Like, I didn't even have a say just a minute. So that got me angry. I'm paying for a meal. I am in a restaurant. I'm paying your prices for this. I expect several things when I walk in a restaurant. One, if you sit me someplace that I do not feel comfortable sitting, I will turn around and say, no, I will wait until a table that's more appropriate comes up. I don't have any problem waiting for it. But don't just slop me down in front of the kitchen doors or something like that. Two, when I order my food, I'm very specific about, it's an appetizer. I want it first. I don't want everything thrown at me like I'm a pig at the trough for this. And that's what they did. Couldn't find her. She was everywhere else but near us again, never came near. So I see the young guy that served us the night before. So I got up and I went over to him and I said to him, I know you're not waiting on us tonight. And he remembered who we were. And I said, I'm trying to get a hold of my server and she's not coming around, but and he says, I'll make it right. He came over. I said to him, this is our appetizer. We'd like that first. Can you take this other back? It was pasta dishes or something, back to the kitchen and just let them keep it warm. Wasn't asking them to remake it. Just put it under your heat lamps, whatever, until we're finished the appetizer. And also the tables physically weren't big enough to handle it all either because they became in big, huge things. Their tables were like dinky. And this way, he said, not a problem. I'll look after you. And he did. So when we never saw her again, even for the bill at the end of it. And in fact, I saw the kid go over to the service window and the whole bit, explain to the chefs in there or something, this, and they dumped it and made us new stuff with it all. In fact, he even came over to make sure that we were ready for it again. He went beyond and above what he needed to do. I tipped him. We gave him a good tip privately in that. I says, you were excellent. You did this. And then when we got up to pay for the bill, because you went up to a cash register at the bar area for this, the guy asked how everything is. I told him. I said, that young lad over there, I said, we had a problem. He looked after us really well, and he wasn't even our waiter. I wanted the powers to be to know that they've got a good one there. I said, the waitress that we had sucked. And that's how I put it. And he goes, well, and he was like showing that he actually wanted to know. And I told him what I just told you. Maybe I got her fired. I didn't really mean to do that. Maybe she was having an off night. I don't know. Whatever. But anyways, that's what you tip for. Okay, off my soapbox. Let's see, I'm way behind here. Nails, hair, foods. Have you done? Oh, Preezy says, Stephen, have you done 23andMe DNA? I did a DNA thing a couple of years ago when I used to be doing genealogy with Ancestry, and I found that I was still just more confused about it. It didn't really work the way I thought they advertised it was going to work. Like, I didn't find anybody, and I wasn't sure. Now, maybe it was just me. I needed to explore it more, but that's as close as I ever got to that kind of thing.
Maybe I should do that to find out what my background is.
Oh, apes. Yeah, definitely apes. Yeah.
No, because my mother always looked like, my mother's Dutch, and she always looked like a little Italian lady. People would come up to her and start speaking Italian to her.
Oh,
so she figured that. She figured that Holland had an occupation of Spanish people. So she figured that.
Did you just say spick?
Spanish.
Spanish. Okay. Well, it sounded almost like you were making some kind of racist
No,
comment.
I didn't. I said Spanish.
Okay, you better.
Spanish, an occupation of Spanish people. So,
Oh, okay. That's
so she figures somewhere along the line.
Oh, something in her woodshed. So, anyways, let's move off of Patreon and all that kind of stuff. And newsworthy, new thing here I've put in. Newsworthy, we think. So, tell them about your little story about Tim Hortons. You know, the refurbishing, the minimum wage. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, Tim Hortons in Canada, it's a coffee chain. Has infiltrated the U.S. a bit. And it was used to be a Canadian-owned coffee chain, right? It's now owned by some Brazilian company or something.
Oh, Brazilian company?
Yeah, anyway, so it's sort of like Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that. They make sandwiches and they have donuts and they have muffins and all kinds of stuff.
Horrible coffee.
And he doesn't like the coffee. I don't mind it.
If you enjoy wringing out a dish rag into hot water.
It's not like Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Sorry.
Oh, that's worse.
Sorry, Americans.
Dunkin' Donuts is even worse than Tim
Americans.
Hortons.
But anyway.
Oh my God.
At least Tim Hortons tastes like coffee. But anyway, but it's really, really popular in Canada. They have long lineups to get into Tim Hortons all the time. People, they call it Timmy's here. People always have, I got to have my Timmy's and all this other stuff, right? So anyway, earlier this year, the Ontario government increased the minimum wage fairly significantly to about $14. And one of the Tim Hortons out in Cobourg, a small town east of us, is owned by the founder of Tim Hortons was a hockey player named Tim Horton. And the family of that, he sold the business off years later for several $1 million. And the family lives in Cobourg and relatives of them and still own a Tim Hortons donut shop in Cobourg. And they decided that they couldn't afford the minimum wage increase, so they were going to penalize their employees by removing break time, and reducing benefits for them. And I can't remember what else. And so that hit the news that this Tim Hortons that's owned by the original family that actually are fairly wealthy are nickel and diming their employees. So that didn't go over well with Canadians, and there were a lot of protests. And since then,
and people were boycotting going to Timmy's.
And since then, their business has gone down quite a bit. And they were originally listed as one of the top 50, the fourth place on the top 50 companies in Canada. And now they're way down the list.
They're down to about 50, aren't they?
Yeah, they're way down on our top 100 companies in Canada. They're at 50th now for the top 100 companies in Canada. They had very bad publicity with it, and other Tim Hortons are doing the same thing. But apparently, the parent company of Tim Hortons expects the coffee shop owners to pay for any changes. They're not allowed to increase the menu prices or anything like that. And then more recently, Tim Hortons says that they're going to have to, each coffee shop owner has to do about $100,000 in renovations to bring the coffee shops up to a standard that they've decided that they're going to have, right? So some of the coffee shop owners have refused to do that. And now they've disenfranchised one of the coffee shop owners in Toronto. They've said that you're no longer allowed to have this franchise because you're not going to upgrade.
Now, to the rest of the world, this is probably not a biggie, but Tim Hortons is one of the backbone businesses of Canada. Everybody knows Tim Hortons and the whole bit. So right now, this is kind of newsworthy for Canadians with it all, even if they are owned by a Brazilian company now. And then the other big news this week is we've got a serial killer. Yay. No, well, not really. Well, we do have a serial killer in Toronto. He's been for years, this guy's been knocking off people in the gay district in Toronto, but nobody did. These people just went missing, and no one's had any trace with them or anything like that. But now they're finding out that this guy has been doing this for years, and he was a landscaper. So some people had flower pots in their homes that had bits and pieces of some of his victims.
Outdoor flower pots.
Yeah, outdoor. So he's up to 8 now.
He chopped them up and put them in the planters, right? Well, what scary part is that he originally lived in the same town that we live in.
Yeah.
Right? And he actually, I found out recently that he actually used to live a couple of streets away from us. Yeah. And then he moved a little bit further away, but still in the same town. When he was married for quite a while, and until 1999 when he divorced his wife and moved into Toronto. Hmm. But he's so now the police are
opening up a lot of cold case files. Because of the profile of a serial killer is they just don't start this overnight. They probably have a history of it from way back.
This guy is 66 now, and apparently they said serial killers usually start around in their 30s, so he could have been doing this 30 years ago type of thing.
Yeah, Jennifer says, goodness, I love crime news. So this is like right now, this is big because the last time we had somebody that was up in the news this big was a guy called Paul Bernardo, and he killed a couple of schoolgirls. He and his wife sucked them in for sort of sexual things. And
his wife, they even killed his wife's sister for that.
Yeah, that's right. So this is big news right now. And then the other big news is there's an asshole who could become the next premier of Ontario. Anybody from this area knows who I'm talking about, Doug Ford. Doug Ford is an idiot.
His brother was Rob Ford, who used to be the mayor of Toronto a few years ago, where it became sort of well known throughout the world as being
a jerk. They're bigots. They're into drugs. They have lots and lots of money. They're millionaires. Rob is dead,
they're for the little people.
Yeah, but they're not. And he's basically the equation. He's equated to, sorry Americans, he's the Trump of Ontario. And actually on Monday, the Liberal Party, which is in power right now, he's the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party, which are traditionally more for big business. The Liberals are more left. The PCs are more right. The Liberals are putting up on their campaign, they got a whole thing about Rob Ford, and there was Doug Ford, sorry. And they've got a little equation in that commercial that equates him to Trump, apparently, in the preview.
We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't seen it yet because it doesn't get released until tomorrow for public consumption. But anyways, it's just fun here in Canada and Ontario. We have ice storms, serial killers, bad coffee franchises, and an asshole running for government. Welcome to Ontario with all of that. So, moving on. Is there anything eating you, Walter? Or things you want to know?
No, I can't think of anything right
Nothing's eating you? Jeez, that's unusual. Just looking down here what people are saying. Laura says his brother was the crackhead, but his brother dealt it to him. Yeah.
Well, Doug Ford apparently was a drug dealer at one point in time, too.
Oh, and Laura says, don't forget that poor girl that was chopped up in Oshawa.
What girl?
I'm not sure. When was that? I missed that. Chop, chop, sweet Charlotte. And Melly says, Canada sounds just like Finland. Well, when it comes to murder, serial killing, bad coffee, I guess every place has its problems, eh? Ooh, that was in a Canadian expression. I caught myself. Anyways, moving on then. Since nothing's eating Walter, what are we watching? Okay, second season of Please Like Me is on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's an Australian comedy about a gay guy kind of thing. It's okay. Don't know, but the one I'm really into right now is East Siders. And it's a Netflix thing. It's a gay soap opera is basically what it is. But second season's better than the first, but we haven't gotten too far in the second season. And then they just put on Netflix a remake of the TV series from the 60s, Lost in Space. We've watched a couple of episodes, not sure yet where this is going. It's pretty much radically different from the original. The original wasn't all that good, it was very cheesy. But we'll see. We did see a couple of movies. We went to see the new horror movie. It's actually more of a thriller than a horror movie called A Quiet Place, where apparently there's like aliens have descended onto Earth and they can't see, but they have really good hearing, and that's how they find their prey, and then they just massacre them. It's a very good movie. It isn't gory. It's more suspense than horror. They label it as a horror, but
and it's kind of freaky because it's very quiet. Because
there's no dialogue.
No dialogue, very little dialogue, and and that is kind of creepy too.
Yeah, and they talk in sign language to each other, and you get little captions underneath. But because if they start to talk, these creatures can find them and kill them. So it's an amusing little time waster. And you want to see a hilarious movie that it's kind of stupid, but it's hilarious.
Really a stupid movie.
It's called The Brothers Grimsby. It's like, I don't know how you describe it. It's
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, but one of them, the dumb one, is also like James Bond, and his brother's really dumb, and it's lots of adventure to it. It's actually kind of
it's kind of funny.
It's funny,
it's got really rude humor in it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of rude humor. So if you like rude humor, and it's English, so, it's that kind of humor. It's not bad. On YouTube, Man versus YouTube. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to talk about the main channel for this called Threadbangers. This is a DIY kind of home improvement, all kinds of different things. They even talk about, Krispy Kremes and making them into pizza or something like this. It's just amusing little time wasters, again. But look it up. Look under Thread Bangers for it. And then they have these subsections. It's okay. They're very professionally done videos. There's another one that's there's no was there ads on it? Can't remember now. I have a feeling they get sponsorship from people like Lowe's, that kind of stuff. So they can afford to make very professional videos. And it's got some useful tips and stuff in it too. So, but it's also entertaining. I already talked about Ken's Creations announcement. The whole thing that got me onto the Patreon thing. I'm still reading that book, Artifact Hunters, which I think is actually a steampunk novel. They don't list it as that, but there's things in it like it takes place in the 1880s, and they have like steam-driven sort of cars, but they also have steam-driven horses, mechanical horses that pull wagons. So I'm thinking, and then they talk about the clothes the main character wears as a female, and she's wearing a corset on the outside, and this stuff. So I think it's steampunk, which I'm kind of into steampunk.
I saw an advertisement for a movie on Tribute. I cannot remember the name of the movie. Well, that's coming out later this year, and it's all based on a steampunk thing. London has become a vehicle. It's all of London is a vehicle.
A vehicle.
Yeah, and it's traveling through the desert.
Oh, the whole of London.
Yeah. Okay,
interesting. Whatever. Now, Mike Deacon's big into steampunk. Well, his other half, Ian, is really big into steampunk and the whole bit. Because, you watch some of his videos, they go to these steampunk things and that. And actually, there's a couple of ladies that are in some of my art journaling classes that are big into steampunk as well out here. And I've sort of touched upon it, but more from an artistic point of view than from as a lifestyle. Although it is kind of cool, the gadgets and things that they come up with. And I did read a couple of sort of books about steampunk and the whole thing. It's basically, if you don't know what steampunk is, it's what would happen if the world kept progressing, but they didn't move beyond steam technology. So their modern inventions are all run by steam, like mechanical. Industrial, mechanical. So
there's not a computer age, it's all still mechanical.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm sure a lot of you probably know what that's all about, but Precy says, I sew corsets. I buy kits. Susie Q's got to go have dinner. Catch the rest on replay. Night all. Bye, Susie. Miriam's got, we're running way over time on that. So what else is there to talk about? What have we been cooking this week? Walter made horrible chocolate chip cookies. Well, they weren't horrible.
They weren't horrible.
They were just crunchy. He's much better at the oatmeal, which he's made some of those. And tonight for dinner, we're having something Mexican. Not sure. Well, it doesn't matter. It's hamburger, peppers, and things like that, and you just throw them on whatever, and you got Mexican. And what's coming up this week? Well, something big for Walter. Bit of a pain in the ass. He's going to have colonoscopy. Not his first one. And not my, I've had a couple myself. But anyways, so he's going to get...
It's not because they suspect anything. It's
just a routine thing with it. So anyways, Glenn says, laugh out loud, better Walter than me. Yep. Yeah, so whatever. That's something to look forward. Oh, we just froze. Hello.
Well, that happened last week.
That happened last week, too.
No, I guess we have to end.
Yeah. Well, bye.
That's a good picture of me, too.
For now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Laura says you can hear, but you froze. Oh, you can hear us. Well, good luck, Walter. Got the T-shirt. Okay, that's from Cindy. Okay, well, people, we are going bye-bye because this thing just froze up. So, don't know why, but anyways, we're at the end. Maybe there's a cutoff at a time. I don't know.
I don't know, but we were on less time last week.
Yeah, that's interesting. But anyways, okay, well, we'll see you all next week. Check out the vlog tomorrow once it gets up and whatnot, and my new Idiot Quilter video, and we'll talk to you all next week. So, bye-bye for now. Say goodbye, Walter.
Bye.